Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alrighty, so after spending a little bit over a month in Japan, I am now back in the United States. While I was in Japan, though, I had a lot of interesting experiences. One of the more interesting experiences I had, I definitely have to say, was the time a Japanese cult tried to recruit me. Today, I'm going to be talking about that story, and I'm going to be, well, smoking a little bit of a Dejarin Black clove cigarette from Japan. I do think without further ado, let's go ahead and get this pack of cigarettes all opened up. Let's go ahead and get one of the cigarettes out. And now let's go ahead and get it all lit up and go ahead and start talking about the time that a Japanese cult tried to recruit me. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this lit up though. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? So prior to my time in Japan, I did some research about things that I kind of needed to keep an eye out for. And to my surprise, one of the things that I found out I needed to keep an eye out for was cults trying to recruit you. That is correct. That's apparently one of the things you need to keep an eye out for if you want to go to Japan. And I heard that sometimes they'd try to recruit foreigners, which I thought was pretty interesting. I was like, it's a foreigner kind of thing. They're probably here on a travel visa. What use is somebody on a travel visa to a cult? I don't really get it in all honesty, but nonetheless, these cults do indeed try sometimes to recruit foreigners, and that's exactly what happened to me. Prior to a cult trying to recruit me, I had seen some other stuff going on in Japan with cults and stuff like that kind of thing while I was in Kyoto. I saw a group of probably 5 or 6 people holding up a banner, and some of them were holding up placards, and they had a photo of Mount Fuji on it. And one of the cults that I had specifically heard about that likes to recruit foreigners is a cult that goes by, I don't know if this is their actual name, but they're known as the Mount Fuji cult, and essentially they worship Mount Fuji. It's a form of Shinto, supposedly, but they essentially just worship Mount Fuji. And I saw their posters, and I saw all of their placards and everything like that kind of thing in Kyoto. And I was like, okay, these are the guys that I was warned about. I'm going to avoid them like hell. And so I did. But this story doesn't take place in Kyoto. It takes place in Osaka. About a week after I saw those members in Kyoto. This story, I think, specifically takes place on a Saturday or Sunday. It was a cloudy day. And on this day, I had decided to go to the tallest building in Osaka because I wanted to see a nice view, in all honesty. But it was a bad day to go to the tallest building in Osaka, that is for sure, because it was cloudy, it was rainy. It was not a pleasant day, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. So I got to the building, and I was like, all right, you know what? It's raining right now. It's really cloudy right now. Even if I pay the, I want to say, I think it was like $20 USD admission fee to go to the absolutely top floor, to go to the observation deck. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to be able to see anything. So I decided not to. I instead went to the free observation deck, which was like 40 floors down, which was still definitely worth my time to go to. But I'm definitely glad I didn't pay the $20 to go to the absolute top floor and to see the actual observation deck and everything like that. It would have been a waste of money on that day, that is for sure. But after going to the free observation deck, I was like, you know what? I'm going to wander around the building a little bit. There's a massive mall under me, so hey, why not check out the massive mall? And that's exactly what I did. They had like a couple Louis Vuitton stores, a couple nice luxury stores and stuff like that kind of thing. They had a Studio Ghibli store, a Shonen Jump store, all that sort of stuff kind of thing. Some pretty cool stuff, if I do say so myself. And they had some nice smoking rooms as well. But after spending, I want to say, about 2 hours in the mall, I got a little bit bored. I was like, you know what? I'm getting a little bit hungry. I've got lunch in my backpack. Let's go find an area I can eat. And then right after I eat, I can just have a cigarette and everything like that kind of thing. So basically, my goal was to try to find an outdoor smoking area that I could easily eat at right after I had a smoke. And so that was my mission. So I set out of the mall and I started walking towards the next place I wanted to go to. The next place I wanted to go to was like a shopping street. I can't remember the exact name off the top of my head, but it was like a shopping street. And in that shopping street, there's like another like Osaka sort of sky view and everything like that kind of thing. I just wanted to look at it. I didn't want to actually like go to the top of it or anything like that kind of thing. And I just wanted to walk through the shopping street, see if there are any nice tobacco shops or anything like that kind of thing as well. And so that's where I set out to go to. About halfway to the shopping street, I found myself a nice little smoking area. And I was like, you know what? All right, cool. Let's sit down and let's go ahead and start eating my lunch. And after I eat my lunch, I'm going to go ahead and, well, smoke a cigarette. It's going to be a good time kind of thing. And this cigarette burned a lot faster than I thought it was going to. I'm going to go ahead and stub it out on the ground real quick. And I think I might go ahead and get another one all lit up. So let's go and get another one of my DeJaren Blacks all lit up. You know, I'm saying that burned very quickly, a lot more quickly than I was expecting, that is for sure. Without further ado, let's go and get my second cigarette of the video all lit up. Yes, sir, yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? Where was I before I got distracted, though? Man, that was a little bit rough. Where was I, though? I had just sat down at a smoking area where I was going to eat my lunch and where I was going to smoke a cigarette after I had my lunch. I had some onigiri with me that day. I think I had some ham with me as well, kind of thing. And I had myself a nice good old Monster Zero Ultra, if I remember correctly. The smoking area I was eating at was right outside of a pachinko parlor. A pachinko parlor is essentially a gambling parlor that is in Japan. I don't know exactly why they're called pachinko parlors. I didn't go inside any of them, but it's a pachinko parlor kind of thing. And outside a lot of pachinko parlors, and inside a lot of pachinko parlors, there are smoking areas. And so I kind of lucked out that there was just one on my route, because there's not really a lot of smoking areas, public smoking areas, that is, in Osaka, I will admit. I didn't really see a lot of them, so I did kind of luck out that there was one right on the route that I wanted to take anyway. So there were some seats and whatnot. They're kind of seats. They're more like logs that somebody had put there to sit on while they're smoking and taking a break from gambling and everything like that kind of thing. But I decided to sit on one of these logs that somebody had put there to eat my lunch. I got my onigiri out. I got my Monster out. I cracked my Monster open and I start eating. And about halfway through my second onigiri, I want to say, some older Japanese lady walks up to me and she starts talking to me. And I was like, oh, what's going on here kind of thing? What's going on here? And I was like, hey, I no Japanese. I don't understand. Sorry, I don't speak any Japanese. I had no clue what she was saying. And then she whips out her phone and she starts talking into it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. She's done this before kind of thing. What's she trying to talk to me about? I figured it was some sort of like advertising thing or something like that kind of thing. And then she flips her phone around for me to see what it says in translation in English. And it's something about Mount Fuji Shinto. And I was like, oh no. And then that's when I realized she was holding a huge stack of pamphlets, all with a gigantic photo of Mount Fuji on the front. And I was like, oh no, this is one of the cult people. I saw them in Kyoto a couple weeks ago, avoided them like hell, didn't want to talk to them. And now one of them just came up to me. Yeah, no, they actually do target foreigners. They actually do target foreigners. After about 3 or 4 minutes of going back and forth of being me like, no. I eventually was just like, okay, she's not going to get the hint unless I tell her in Japanese to get the hint kind of thing. So I whipped out my own phone and I put my Google Translator on. I put my Google Translate on and I flipped over English to Japanese and I said, I'm not interested, but thank you very much. And I showed her the phone and she was like, oh, okay. And she walked away to go talk to the next person. And that was the experience right there. So saying I do suppose that a Japanese cult tried to recruit me maybe is a little bit of an over-exaggeration. I do apologize, but, you know, I gotta get clicks, you know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, she did at least try to talk to me about the Mount Fuji cult, the cult that I had been warned about online before I ever came to Japan. I didn't really expect anybody to actually come up to me to try to talk to me about the cult, about any cults or anything like that kind of thing. But it's still so funny that that actually happened, in all honesty. And I'm just glad that she actually left me alone after I made it very clear that I was not interested, because I certainly was not. I'm certainly not interested in joining a Japanese cult, that is for sure. I low-key wanted to take one of the flyers just as a souvenir to be like, oh, kind of, yeah, I'll take a flyer kind of thing. But apparently if you take a flyer, you'd think they'd just leave you alone after you take the flyer. No, no, they try to talk to you even more, apparently, after you take the flyer. And then after you take the flyer, I also heard that there were some accounts online that if you take the flyer and then you're kind of like, oh, no, I'm not interested, they'll start following you around. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to take the flyer. I really wanted to, but I didn't take the flyer. And honestly, I would have loved to take the flyer, in all honesty. But that is the time that a Japanese cult tried to recruit me while I was in Japan. Pretty amusing. She was very nice about it, though. She wasn't rude about me not being interested or anything like that kind of thing. She was just kind of like, okay, and walked away. She's very nice about it. Honestly, nicer than some religious groups I've been spoken to in the United States. Pretty amusing if I do say so myself. But yeah, no, the whole Mount Fuji cult thing, they apparently target foreigners. And now I suppose I can speak semi-firsthand on that. The pachinko parlor was in a more touristy area in Osaka, so it makes sense why she was there. The cult members I saw in Kyoto as well that were part of the same cult. They're part of the Mount Fuji cult. They were in a very touristy area as well. So it does definitely seem like this specific cult at least does definitely try to target foreigners and more touristy areas. Which I find pretty amusing. One of the definitive ways to tell whether it's just somebody trying to sell you something or something like that kind of thing, or whether it's actually a cult member or not, is whether they have a giant photo of Mount Fuji with them. If they have a giant photo of Mount Fuji with them, it is pretty much definitively not a Mount Fuji tour advertisement. It is the Mount Fuji Shinto cult. So yeah, it is the Mount Fuji Shinto cult. I just thought it was pretty amusing. I was like, man, I cannot believe I got warned about this before I came to Japan, and then I saw them in Japan kind of thing only once. I was like, wow, I'm surprised I only saw them once when I was in Kyoto. I was like, man, I saw them today. I avoided them like hell. Everybody walking around them that was actually from Japan was avoiding them like hell as well kind of thing. And avoided them like hell, did not want to talk to them kind of thing, but they were there holding their banner, holding their placards, being like, Mount Fuji, we love Mount Fuji kind of thing. And everybody was avoiding them like hell. And I was just like, wow, I'm surprised I've only seen them once. But what I heard online kind of thing, I thought I was going to see these guys everywhere kind of thing. And that's definitely not how it is. You don't see these guys everywhere. But then when I was in Osaka, I was just like, man, I cannot believe that somebody actually came up to me and tried to recruit me into the Mount Fuji cult. This is hilarious. They actually do target foreigners to some extent, and they actually do try to get people to join the Mount Fuji cult. I just thought it was so hilarious. I'm not into worshiping Mount Fuji personally. I'm not into worshiping mountains personally, but I mean, like, hey, maybe if I was, the cult would have actually been something the cult would have actually been something good for me or something like that kind of. I don't know what the cult's all about. All I've heard is that they target foreigners, in all honesty. What I worship personally, if they had come up to me and they had been like, yo, yeah, I see you smoking in the smoking area kind of thing. You're enjoying your onigiri. You're about to smoke kind of thing. I'm part of the cigarette cult. You want to join the cigarette cult? Now that would have, poof, man. Let me tell y'all what. I would have joined that group so fast. I would have been like, y'all got a cigarette cult? Poof. Man, oh man, I'm joining this. I don't care if I'm only here for like another 2 weeks. I'm joining this cult kind of thing. I'm joining this cult. Let me in, you know what I'm saying? Let me into your chapter. I'm trying to join the cigarette cult. But sadly, the Mount Fuji cult is not all about cigarettes. But either way, that was the story of the time that a Japanese cult tried to recruit me. And I thought it was a pretty interesting experience. As said, the way I realized that she was a member of the cult was, one, she was talking about Mount Fuji and Shinto, and then two, she had a giant stack of pamphlets in her hand that had giant photos of Mount Fuji on them. And I was like, okay, this is definitely not a Mount Fuji tour guide advertisement. This is definitely a Japanese cult. Let me try to get out of this situation as fast as possible before I end up getting followed around, or before I end up making a scene or anything like that kind of thing, that is for sure. But I think that's just about all I had to say. I certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. That is for sure. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys have ever been to Japan. Did you guys have any experiences with any Japanese cults, with the Mount Fuji cult in specific? Let me know if you guys had any experiences with this cult in the comments down below. I couldn't find much information online about the cult besides just people on like Reddit and stuff talking about the Mount Fuji cult and how they try to recruit foreigners and stuff like that. Besides that, I couldn't find anything really about them. They don't have a Wikipedia page or anything like that kind of thing. I couldn't find any of their posters online, sadly. I really wanted to, because honestly I wanted to print one off for today's video to really show you guys what she was showing me and everything like that, but I couldn't find any online. But let me know in the comments down below if you guys have had any personal experiences with any Japanese colts or with the Mount Fuji colt in specific. I'm very curious to find out what y'all's experiences were like. From what I can tell, at least compared to some of the what some of the people online were saying, I had a better experience than not, that is for sure, because she just left me alone pretty quickly. Although I will admit, I do think one of the reasons she left me alone pretty quickly is because when I said I wasn't interested, I stood up and I was like a solid 1.5 feet taller than her. So I might have intimidated her a little bit, but I mean, like, hey, that's a benefit for me, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to talk to her anymore, but I certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. As I said, let me know if you guys had any personal experiences with this. Let me know what they were like in the comments down below. I'm very curious to find out. But you know, I certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video where I talked about my personal experience having a Japanese colt try to recruit me. It was a little bit of a story time video. I certainly hope you guys enjoyed watching it, that is for sure. If you guys did enjoy watching this video, of course, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. box, and my second channel all in the description down below. Go check it all out. But you know, thank you very much for watching, y'all. To the next one, stay safe and peace. Have a great one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying?